Ay. I said, excuse me, but you don't understand where I'm at. I was all around the world, on span, cross the map. I've been laying low and now it's time to pop up, bitch, I'm back. Now I'ma run it up. Snooze on the kid, that you dumb or what? You better go get your numbers up. Now throw me the oop, I gotta hire a Jerry Maguire. I'm tired of hearing it, show me the loot. I had to listen, they told me to shoot. Like it or not, man, I told them the truth. I stay away from the things that be causing me trouble, just out here enjoying the view. Seeing shit I never had, boy, I used to be a bad boy, and now I'm in my bag, boy, I knew. I don't do the rumors or the tabloids, I'll let you handle that noise. That shit doesn't last, no, it's true. Each time that I move, ayy, my free time ain't free time, it's peace signs if you snooze. I got crease lines in my shoes. Walk with me, you see what I do. Walk with me, you see what I mean. Show you how to see it right through. I said, excuse me, but you don't understand where I'm at. I was all around the world, on span, cross the map. I've been laying low and now it's time to pop up, bitch, I'm back. Now I'ma run it up. Snooze on the kid, that you dumb or what? You better go get your numbers up. Really on God, getting paid for this shit while I drink on the job. They so desperate for some clicks to the links on they blog. Being real, man, it's nothing but exhaust. Come on, I said excuse me, please. Why they speak like they knew me? Right from the gate, I had all of it written. When they speak of grace, knowing they didn't include me. It took me a while, I weathered the storm. Bitch, why you hating? Get better informed. No room to slip when the pressure is on. You wasn't with it to move it along. I said excuse me, you don't understand where I'm at. I was all around the world, on span, cross the map. I've been laying low and now it's time to pop up, bitch, I'm back. Now I'ma run it up. Snooze on the kid, that you dumb or what? You better go get your numbers up.
Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I bust soon, soon. Knew as a child, back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my broom, vroom. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm in a whip, so I gotta zoom. They tryna talk, they not in the room. I've been so real, I'm dead to the tomb. They in the way, they gotta move. I gotta gas, they running on fumes. Told them way back, it's something new. It's me and Dan, you gotta choose. I'm taking what's mine, I'm doing fine. Don't see the vision, they looking so blind. I hit my lawyer, I don't got the time. Crossing my T's and he dotting those eyes. Don't take offense if I do not oblige. I can't relate but like none of these guys. They hit me once and I'm cutting the ties. I was so low but I'm back on the rise, it's real. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I bust soon, soon. Knew as a child, back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my broom, vroom. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm hopping now I gotta go. I'm looking back, they not even close. I had a 4, now I need a ghost. I got a wave like I'm on the coast. Same ones are doubting, I dare the show. So way that I'm ballin', they think I'm a pro. I'm getting sick by the money I gross. They saying whoa, I told them all what this is. I told them all I don't miss. Said it's my time, look at this shit on my wrist. And when they shootin' this brace, I'm going in. In a new gig, gotta shift. I cannot stick to the script, I cannot wait. Watch how I get it and flip. It's just how I'm doing this shit that I'm going. Just how I'm doing this shit that I'm going.
Up or down, we get paid either way. Long when it bounce, short when it break. Up or down, we get paid either way. Long when it bounce, short when it break. Market go red, that's dinner on place. If you only went one way, you late. Up or down, we get paid either way. Money in the bank when the candles shake. Broke boys pray, we calculate. If you fear both sides, you too late. Price go up, I ride the wave. Price fall fast, I short the gray. They need green just to feel okay. I make money in a hurricane. If you bullish, only you have for trader. Market turn red, you a spectator. I stay paid in every layer. Volatility, my elevator. They panic selling, I'm scaling in. They revenge trade, I'm stacking wins. They chasing candles, I fade the trend. They cash out calm while they hold the L. You want direction, I want range. You want hope, I want exchange. You want luck, I want edge. That's why my account don't beg. Up or down, we get paid either way. Long when it bounce, short when it break. Market go red, that's dinner on plates. If you only win one way, you late. Up or down, we get paid either way. Money in the bank when the candles shake. Broke boys pray, we calculate. If you fear both sides, you too late, yeah. I don't need green candles to eat if you're scared too short. You scared to win, yeah. Prophet don't care about direction. Bulls celebrate, bears pay me. Volatility is my direct deposit. Your hope is my liquidity. I don't predict opposition. Fear is where the entries live. You pray for pumps, I prepare for dumps. I make money in corrections and celebrations. The trend is your religion. The range is my income. If the chart move, I get paid. Yeah. Up or down, we get paid either way. Long when it bounce, short when it break. Market go red, that's dinner on plates. If you only win one way, you late, yeah. Up or down, we get paid either way. Money in the bank when the candles shake. Broke boys pray, we calculate. If you fear both sides, you too late, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream. Guys, I got a new monitor here. Went OLED. Why was nobody going to tell me about OLED monitors? This is so much better than a normal monitor. But welcome back, guys. Bitcoin pushing into the value area high of our range, which was our key level that we looked at on our last live stream. Didn't go live last night. Had to get a new monitor because my other one broke. And Bitcoin was kind of doing the same exact thing that we were talking about 2 days ago. And we finally come down to that key level. So here we are live again, testing a critical level of support, guys. Are we going to be able to hold it? And I want to break down this level and why this is the most important level on the chart, at least for the medium time frame, because as we've come up to almost $68,000, hitting almost $67K, if we get this pullback, guys, the bulls need to hold these three critical levels if we want to see the overall continuation to the upside, because you guys know we had the daily bull divs confirmed at the low, the weekly bull div confirmed at the low. We're printing a 2-week bull div. The daily money flow is finally crossing green, which could indicate more upside. And I'm going to talk about the invalidations that we need to be looking at if you want to continue looking higher, where those levels that, if broken, are kind of invalidating that idea. And we're touching one of them right now. So shout out to the Mafia. Welcome in. Thank you guys for tuning in and hanging out with us here on this beautiful Thursday. Yeah, Thursday, guys. I am Thursday? Thursday. I think it's Thursday. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I'm losing track of the days, guys. I don't go live, and I just don't know what day it is. But yeah, shout out to, let's see, we got Quiet SP in the chat. What is going on, bro? Jesse in the chat. We got Dwayne, Mad Liz. What is going on? E-Rock asked for the up or down song, man. You ask and you shall receive. But shout out to you, man. Frankie in the house, Italian Mafia. Shout out to Shurkan. Welcome in, brother. Thank you for being here. Guys, don't forget to smash that like button. If we get 550 likes on our whatever live stream we get it on, we're doing 10 discount codes for the premium, as well as 3 Frankie Candles hat giveaways, and I'll give $150 away to somebody in the chat as well. So shout out to the Candle Mafia. Thank you, guys. It's Thursday. Yes, thank you. Shout out to Jesse. But without further ado, guys, as we test this critical level of support, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. All right, so here we are. It's kind of weird. I accidentally bought a glossy monitor, guys, and all I see is the Frankie Candles light behind me, so I'm going to have to figure that out. But anyway, Bitcoin testing our critical level of support. If you guys tuned into the last live stream, you will know as we were getting a rejection, let's pull up the macro profile, getting a rejection here from the POC of our range. Drag that purple box back down. Getting the rejection from our POC here. Continuing down, losing the value area low. The biggest level of support that we were looking at was very clearly going to be retesting this value area high. This is the most important level locally. We had our golden pocket, our 786, and of course, guys, we do not want to really get accepted back into this range. If we get back inside this range, this is going to open up the door to potentially see the point of control of our range once we break below that value area high. Cannot get out. The next likely place for price to go from a gravitational pull perspective inside the profile is that point of control. Now, other than the level that we're bouncing off of right now, there is one other level that I am very interested in. We have some local scalp levels in the premium that we're looking at for shorter-term trades, but today I'm just going to cover the main 2 other levels underneath us, the main big levels that I really want to hold on top of, and kind of what I'm overall expecting next for price action. So we are testing the value area high right now. I'll even hide the golden pocket 786. I'll get a little bit more nitty-gritty into that price action in a second, but we're testing it, guys. We are take off that macro profile. We are testing the value area high. Overall, we could play around with this level a little bit. There's actually, I am suspicious of coming down to take out this low one more time. But if we do continue to bounce, whether we continue to bounce from here or we get another sweep of the low, we have to get out of this value area high, guys. If we cannot break it, it is likely going to call for a bigger drop to the downside. And like I said, we do have local levels. We're going to take a look at the liquidation heat maps today as well. But if we get accepted in here on top of this POC, let me hide the anchored VWAP real quick, pull up our daily naked points of controls. I'm actually going to hide this one because that's part of a local level. But at the end of the day, right, lose the value area high. We could potentially expect to come down to that POC of the range where we do have confluence here, guys. We have a daily horizontal sitting right here. I tried to guess where it was. Daily MPOC, point of control of the range, and the daily horizontal. This level has pretty much been tested. I guess you could argue this was tested once, right? We slipped it, got back above it, 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 right? So 1, 2, 3, 4 times. If we come down here for the 5th time, you know what they always say, right? I don't know who says it. I guess I do. The more times you knock on the door, the more likely it is to open. Either way, whether we're able to hold on top of the POC or not, guys, and we'll take a look at money flow and why this could potentially be the next target. I'll give you the bullish case and the bearish case, let you know which way I'm leaning, as I always do. But, more times you knock on the door, the more likely it is to open. So either way, guys, I do think if we do come back into this range, we're going to get an outcome here, whether we hold the higher low for the 5th time and continue up to much higher prices, or get the bigger breakdown to $60,000. I think we will see the outcome this time because on the first approach, we got above the low, into the POC, flip the POC, back to the high, reject the high, back to the POC, still continue the uptrend. I think we are going to see an outcome come in here. And one update I will talk about is we've been looking on the higher time frames before we get into the nitty-gritty key levels that I'll be looking for trades at. I do just want to cover the overall scenario here with the massive daily bullish divergences. We've talked about this about 277,000 times, but we do have the daily bull div here with the lower lows on price action, higher lows on our momentum waves, still holding the portion of the long here from $58,000. And on the way up, what we wanted to see here was the money flow crossing into the green, or at least continuing to trend in towards the 0 line. And you can see we are now slightly starting to see a crossover into the green. So money flow trend here on the daily is still good, which still does keep the bullish case case, open for overall higher lows and higher highs. And when we pull up our macro volume profile, we all know we talked about this really $65,000 to $68,000 zone being the biggest level to get above in order to open up the door for a much bigger move up to about 71,450, all the way up to potentially, $76,000 to $77,000. Obviously, we're getting the rejection from the POC. And with money flow coming up here, we can still keep the idea open for higher lows and higher highs to come. And I will talk about the invalidation, which actually isn't here. But I will talk about the invalidation level for that thought process. But when money flow crosses into the green like this, money flow indicates the overall trend. It does not call for the ebbs or flows. That is called by the red and the green dots. Money flow indicates the overall trend, right? So we do still have a decent amount of room to come down here for that pullback. Pulled from the low to the high, looking at our Fibonacci retracement, the lowest I would really want to see this pull back would be into the golden pocket 786. This could still hold up our overall macro uptrend. You'll see everybody calling for the inverted head and shoulders. If we do get that big bounce, oh my God, inverted head and shoulders, send it to the value area high, right? There's your measured move. So just to kind of give you an idea, if we do see continued pullbacks here, we could see a pretty dramatic pullback. I will not know if this looks good for a high or low or not until we get down there. I do not know what the money flow is going to look like. We're still pretty far away from the level. And this is the line in the sand, right? The last level, the furthest we would want that pullback to go. Once we start losing around $59,000, that is where I do think that we have a much better chance of getting a bigger breakdown below the macro lows here at about $57,700. So if you wanted to mark, really the line in the sand would be the 786. Sure, we could come down, potentially slip it, reclaim it, and then come back up. Once we start seeing like daily candle closures down here, start bearishly retesting, can't get back above, that's where I'll be looking for the bigger breakdown to much bigger levels of support down below. We'll cover that, if it comes in. But at the end of the day, this zone sits between 61.2 and 59.520. Keep your eye on this level, and you do have some confluence down there as well. Let me pull up. You got a weekly in confluence with that 786. You have a daily MPOC just underneath that, and a weekly MPOC down there as well, right? So you have a lot of confluence there, and if we have to see a dramatic pullback, this could still be an opportunity for a higher low and higher high. At that point, if we pull back from here, I do think this money flow will come back into the red, but as long as we can overall keep that money flow uptrend going, right, over time. So high time frames, right? Still, bullish case is still open here. Now, obviously, we are in a bear market, so I do keep that in mind. I'm fully aware that this does not have to play out. I already have profits locked in on the long, so that is a guaranteed winning trade even if I stop out. So I'm not super worried about it. And as you guys know, if you watched the live stream the other day, we did take a short up here in the premium. I was holding this trade over on AFX, which is a DEX leverage exchange, and woke up today to my position closed. And turns out they had an exploit, and I guess they just closed everybody's position. I assume that's the case. My funds were fine, but they closed my position. So kind of upsetting here a little bit, right? It's out of my control. But beautifully holding that short. I think I still have it marked out here. Where's it at? Where is it at? I think right here. Yeah, so looking for price to push into that. Let me hide these folders. Looking for price to push into that value area high daily MPOC zone. Wound up seeing that play out. If I didn't have my position automatically closed, I would have taken partial profits, moved my stop loss to break even. Because when we take a look at money flow, you'll see why I am a little bit suspicious of more downside. But just to be clear, right, the signs we're seeing on Market Cipher B right now are calling for medium time frame continuation to the downside potentially. It does not invalidate the idea of the higher time frame money flow coming up, right? Price moves in ebbs or flows, right? If you look at the price action here, right, we took a short. We expected a push to the downside. It did not step on the fact that daily money flow was coming up and a continuation higher was more likely. So keep that in mind, right? Just because I could expect more downside here, even, next target would really be that POC zone. This could still be a potential area to look for a bounce. So kind of upsetting there. Would have been nice to be being able to have that hedge short in case we do see the big breakdown. Would have been really nice to have that hedge short. But I am still holding some of my swing shorts for much higher. So I guess if we break down below the macro lows, I'll still have those. But yeah, in general, I think the simplest way to look at this, guys, is going to be from a volume profile perspective. Biggest level, currently bouncing off of it right now. which is the value area high of the range. Let me just hide the macro profile, right? So the idea is that we really don't want to get accepted in here. I am suspicious that this could be the case because we have that daily red dot printing and our 90-minute money flow crossing into the red. That is a bearish market cipher B116 strategy, which I am paying attention to, but also money flow has been super chopped up here, as you guys can see. So really focusing more on the key levels than money flow right now. But if I look at this from a money flow perspective, I would have to say 90-minute money flow coming out, lackluster bounces to the upside, lower highs, lower lows, right? Get stuck inside the range. We could start heading down towards that POC. So key level number 1, hopefully we can hold this. We lose it, I'm going to be looking down towards the point of control. And then, of course, right, once we get down there, we can identify, right, if we want to take a new long or if we want to just sit on our hands and wait for the loss of the POC for that full volume profile rotation, finally down to the $60,000 value area low that we have been keeping our eye on every attempt to come back down, right? Because it's not, once you get inside that profile, the magnetic rotation is pretty high probability that you can continue all the way down through that value area low to rotate the value in full. So very simple here, right? I am holding a long position from down here. This was obviously a key level we talked about on the live stream, but also we had the long setups in the premium Discord, and it is starting to play out just a little bit. So we'll see what happens. Again, 90-minute money flow coming out, not looking super, super good. If we're going to see a bigger continuation up here locally, the thing I will be looking at specifically is the green dot on the 4-hour. If we can get this to print with our 15-minute money flow crossing into the green, we could get a bit more of a continuation to the upside, in which case I'm not going to cover every micro level here, but I will just bring this one up. Let me just stretch this out a little bit so I can see. Obviously, big key level to get above is the value area low, right? Currently, we are chopping around between these two profiles. We want to get back up in here, accept it into the upper profile, right, and not come back down here. Money flow is saying continuation down is more likely. That does not stop me from taking the long here from the Golden Pocket 786 daily MPOC. Look how fire these daily MPOC levels are, guys. Insane, right? We simply came into the level or the zone, which obviously was a bit broad. Bullish divergences here forming on the 15-minute. 30-minute did not quite print, which is why I say, if we do come back down, lose the value area high, we could sweep out that low again, and we do still have our 786 sitting down there as well. So this zone is pretty broad. We might have to play around, dig a little deeper into the zone before continuing up. But I got the confirmations into the key zone. I took the trade, and it is currently playing out pretty nicely. I'll pull up that trade in just a second, but that's kind of like very, very intermediary levels. If we come back up here and test this value area low, I may lock in my profits, move my stop loss to break even just to protect myself in case we do want to get back down into that profile. We are in a quite sticky situation here, guys. Bing bong in between these volume profiles, but you could always just keep the simple theory of the volume profiles open, right? Very, very clearly, the hope here is to stay out of this profile and get accepted back into this one. So main levels, I'll just draw these out for you guys with boxes so you can mark them off on your chart very easily. Number 1 is here, right? If we do dig back deeper into the 786, right, and we hold it, I don't love longing right below a value area low. It's kind of contradictive, right? It's like a key level of support. However, you're coming right into resistance, which could potentially send you back down through the profile, which is why it would have been nice to be still holding this short from up here because you're short from above the high. Once you get accepted in, right, you're enjoying that ride down with a very, very nice entry. Unfortunately, my position got closed automatically. So zone number 1 does sit, right? I mean, the 786 is really the untapped zone, sitting at about $64,341. And then if we lose that, right, we can look for the bigger drop to the downside. Like I said, there are some local levels here I'm not really going to cover. If we wind up, I just really want to cover the bigger zones that people are going to be the most interested in. I don't want to sit here and give you guys 1,000 different levels. I'm going to give you the 2 big key levels to the downside, the 2 big key levels to the upside. So number 1's kind of in play right now. So I won't even count that. Number 2 is very simply going to be grab our box, right? This POC zone down to the daily. I am going to kind of narrow this down to the lower MPOC, right? Because this is part of the upper local level. Maybe I'll share that with you guys if you guys want. But daily MPOC, point of control, daily horizontal, sitting between 62,850. 62,850 and 62,236. All right, so number 1 is in play. money flow might be able to bring us back down, right? If so, at this point, if we come down right now, I'll stop out at a loss. And then once we come back down here, this is the next big area of interest for me, right? So not really counting this one because it's already in play. Zone number 1 sitting right here. Zone number 2 is going to be sitting down here at the value area low, golden pocket, which might take a little while to hit if we do end up going for the bigger move. But very simply put, zone number 1, huge, 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 huge level. Zone number 2, even bigger level, right? So if we come down there, those are the next places where I would be interested in. When we talk about the continuation to the upside, guys, it's like aggressive higher low, potential higher low, and then like we really got to start bouncing down here. Otherwise, very likely that this big money flow crossover on the daily is going to be a giant fake out and a massive drop to the downside. Just riding these volume profiles. And again, I wish I was holding this short because, you know, I always like to practice what I preach, right? And I do. But unfortunately, it closed out in profit, which is nice. But of course, short from the highs and long from the lows. So there you go. 2 biggest levels to the downside sitting right there. And then to the upside, of course, this has not changed. Biggest level, right? I would still love to come up here and sweep out this this zone right here between about, draw it out as a zone. I'm going to mark it out from about $68,000 all the way to the previous high here. This is the biggest zone to look at to the upside. I am separating these into 2 like local zones, but at the end of the day, the biggest level of resistance or the zone is sitting between $67,227 and $68,000. If we could come back up there, right, very simply put, set your traps, wait for the alerts to go off, look for the confirmations, take the trade. If we were able to somehow, right, again, I'm suspicious of this not being the case, but if we were able to sneak up here, biggest area of interest to the upside, if we break back down, you have zone number 1, zone number 2. And I will just put price labels on these so you guys can actually like maybe write down the numbers. I'll put the top of the zone and the bottom of the zone. All right, so there's your zone number 2, zone number 1, and then your move to the upside would be right here and right here, right? So those are the biggest areas of interest for my main areas of interest for trades, right? Very simply, being patient, waiting for the key levels to get hit. And yeah, waiting to look at the confirmations inside the key zone. And if we see the confirmations, and only if we see the confirmations, do we take those trades. So yeah, it kind of looks likely that we're going to continue this overall chop before we see a final resolution of the higher time frame. Take these labels off. Before we see the final resolution of the higher time frames, right? And even looking at the volume profile, guys, shorts at the highs, longs at the lows, took the short at the high. But, you know, when we look at these volume profiles looking to break out, money flow is how we identify that, right? Like I said, money flow always indicates the overall trend. If I am looking for an overall big continuation to the upside, what do I want money flow to look like? I want it to look like exactly what it's looking like right now. It does not mean it's 100% probability, but this is as good as it can look on the daily with the bull divs confirmed at the low, which is very nice. So I have to keep that idea open. It doesn't mean it's going to play out, and that's why we manage the risk, right? That's why risk management is always going to be more important than your strategy. Most people will see something like this not play out and be like, oh my God, I'm never listening to money flow again. That's not how it works, right? You have to understand even an 80% win rate, there's still a 20% chance that you're going to lose a trade, right? Even if you have the perfect setup. But when I come up with these biases, right, I have to base it off these higher time frame money flow crossovers. So, and as I've mentioned in the past, I do think a push to the upside would probably cause more pain, right? I think a lot more people are expecting lower, which doesn't mean it can't play out, but I do think this would be the more painful path. And you guys know the market likes to create as much pain as possible. I think this would be a very hated rally, even if it ends up, right, like ending in a massive dump to the downside. I still think this will be a very, very hated rally, which is pretty intriguing to me when I try to think about probabilities and the technicals pointing in this direction, right? So high time frame still looking pretty decent. However, you got that 90-minute daily 1/16th setup calling for potential more downside. So all we can do is wait for those key levels to get tapped and react as we see those confirmations. So let me jump on into the chat here real quick. Shout out to A-Train, my boy. Shout out to A-Train. Welcome in, brother. Good to see you. Seeing some of the older CandleMafia starting to come back. Could be a sign. Slap the bulls, slap the bears, resume sideways action. Shout out to Bullish Sauce. I mean, hey, it's great for the trades. It's super important. Like yesterday, right? I dropped that community post. I was like, hey, guys, no live stream today. I was dealing with my monitor, was broken. I had to go get a new one. And I could have used it, but there was just no update, right? We're up here talking about the rejection. Next key level's down here. And perfectly, now we're tapping into that key level. So, the choppy price action is just brutal for content. But it's nice for the trades. Man, it really does sting a little bit to have that short closed. Man. It's just like, it's my ego, right? It's like, I want to be long from every low and every high. I'm not gonna try to chase that, but it is nice, right? It would like long from the tippy low, catching all these individual pivots. Like if I pull up these previous setups that we've had in the Discord, right? Like just really catching like almost every single pivot. I don't even think all the trades are on here, but catching the long from the POC, catching the short from the value area high, long from the POC, and then the short here from the deviation above the high. And even this local trade here that we took today, pushing directly into the key level, just like catching all these pivots feels super good for the ego. Let's see. Take out the highs and the lows. Shout out to More Timer. I mean, that is always pretty much what I prefer. Like if I were to view this, taking just raw price action, right? We're just looking at this, and I'm going to mark off this as like your range highs and your range lows. Your range high would be like right here. Your range low would be right here. And, we've already taken out the range low, right? So if I'm looking at this price action in this current moment, it's range low, range high, right? You come down, take out the low. Actually, I mean, continue to just bring this back and back and back, right? Take out the lows, back to the highs. I would just love, right? Coming up, take out the highs again, potential short opportunity, and then, hopefully we don't have to go take the lows again. That'd be brutal. Or maybe, I guess you could bring the high. It's about $68,000. Yeah, that's why I prefer to take out that psychological level, man. But, of course, it's never promised. More Timer in the house. Shout out to More Timer Duke. Did I say that right? I think that's his full name. Yeah, More Timer Duke. Shout out to you, brother. I don't think that if we go back to the POC under 63K, it'll hold again. Yeah, and that would be the overall anticipation, right? Like, simple volume profile context here is like, you lose the high, right? Can't get back out. POC is next. And, when we look at this from a Fibonacci perspective, I actually pull up this key level right here. This is the intermediary level I was talking about. If we're going to continue putting in these beautiful pivots, right, pulling from the low to the high gives you this golden pocket 786, which is also perfectly confluent with your trend line. You also have a daily MPOC down there, right? And I just hate to give you, like, at the end of the day, guys, if I pull up all this support, all the daily MPOCs, we pull all the fibs, right? Like, this is, like, pretty much, like, all these levels are super spread out. I hate to tell people, like, look at this, $5,000 support level, right? It's very difficult. I would never take a long position here, right? Let's say I take the long at the daily MPOC like I did. Like, I'm not going to have that stop loss of like 4% below the POC, right? So I have to view these as like local trades until proven otherwise, right? With tight stop losses. But at the end of the day, right, if we do get back down there, you have the golden pocket, like volume profiles aside, if you're just assuming that this trend is going to continue up, maybe come down rather, take out the lows, hold on top of the trend line, and then continue up. This would just be a perfect trend line hold there. I'm not a trend line trader, but of course, it lines up with the golden pocket 786, which is where we look for higher lows and higher highs. But bring up the volume profile, you're longing directly into resistance. So I would have to view that as a scalp until proven otherwise. If I get the confirmations, right, we might just melt through the levels, which is why I don't really want to spend a lot of time on these local levels. I want to kind of cover the bigger, just simple volume profile rotations, right? Lose the high, looking down towards the POC for the most part. And then once we lose that, let me just pull this fib from the pivot to pivot here. Yeah, once you start losing the POC, right, it's hard for me to say, is it possible to hold that POC again? I would say yes, right? It's like the same thing. Like, oh, do I expect this, POC, do I expect this to hold again? Not really. But of course, we're fully aware of it. And of course, we did have the long setup from there. It's not going to stop me from taking the trade because money flow is calling for the continuation of the uptrend. You're going to have conflicting signals like this a lot. And right now, it's just been all over the place. We have so many conflicting signals, but it's not going to stop us from taking the trades and making money. just makes it a little harder to just make a straight up prediction. Like the only clear kind of call that I can make here is that this daily looks pretty dang good for an overall continuation up. Whether we're going to hold the aggressive higher lows, the medium higher low, or like go down for that full retracement is very difficult. And that's why I bring up these three major key levels, because these are 100% the ones to watch. And again, right, like that intermediary level gets pretty close to the POC, which is why I just kind of like to keep it nice and simple within the volume profiles. And when I pull that group back up again, right, this anchored VWAP is also going to become confluent if we do continue down with that zone. So again, right, anchored VWAP holds, anchored VWAP holds, anchored VWAP holds, anchored VWAP holds. To continue the uptrend, right, this would be a very, very nice, this is where you would really want to hold on top of, right? Maybe you have to wick down to the POC, but eventually you really want to hold on top of the anchored VWAP. Once we end up losing the POC, very clearly the next target becomes 60K. And again, I'll say it for a fourth time, would have been really nice if they did not close my trade up here. But it is what it is. Let's see. Just make sure I didn't miss anything here in the chat. NQ and SPX are not doing great, and we got war talks again. Yeah, I don't pay as much attention to the narrative, but we could take a look at like the SPY. Right, continuing to pull back here, taking a look at the high time frame money flow like we were on the last live stream. Money flow continuing out here. Very interesting, right? Because overall, right, we would assume that the traditional markets, oftentimes Bitcoin and crypto will follow the traditional markets, but we do have just pretty much opposite technical indications here, right? Daily money flow coming out on the SPY, where we have the money flow looking like the complete opposite here on Bitcoin. So the technical confirmations are completely opposite, but I would also agree, again, conflicting signals here, right? If the SPY dumps, more often than not, crypto will follow, unless you're seeing some kind of rotation from stocks into crypto. Could be the case. But yeah. Let's see. Could you show me your live PvP on the daily time frame? My PvP levels don't match your yellow MPOC levels. My trading view might be broken. Thank you for everything you do. Shout out to Neon Visual. The reason some of my MPOCs are probably not lining up with yours is because some of them are pulled from exocharts. Especially if you watch the tutorial, if I pull up my MPOCs here, these should be the exact ones that you have if you use the settings from the tutorial. I have some extra ones in here that are pulled from exocharts. Those are probably the ones that are not lining up for you. So there you go. Hopefully that helps you out. Shout out to Wick589. Thank you for the super chat, brother. I appreciate you. He says, shout out to my spirit animal, Jimothy the raccoon. If you know, you know. If you don't, give him a Google. Shout out to Jimothy the raccoon. I do not know who Jimothy the raccoon is, but shout out to him. Hopefully he's a good guy. Shout out to Wick589. That's not a poem, bro. Wick is our most famous CandleMafia poet. But there's no rhyme in there. Shout out to Wick589. Thank you for the super chat, brother. I appreciate you. Nick Dunn dropping the magnets and the blue chew in the chat. That's it. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, shout out to Neon Visual. I figured all the OGs rolling in. Shout out to the OG CandleMafia. Let's go. Yeah, shout out to Ligma Wick. Above the range with a bear div, down she goes. We shall see, brother. We shall see. I like your thought process. But yeah, I do want to take a look at the liquidation heat maps with you guys as well. Let's go ahead and pull those up real quick. Whoops. Where are we at here? Why are they not open? Let me load this up real quick. It's going to take a second because I'm going to pull up the legend chart, which lets us actually move the chart around. Come on. There we go. Let's go ahead and snap this up. So looking at the liquidity here, of course, I mean, we've looked at this many, many a times. I'll pull up the 1 hour. Let it load. Come on. You can do it. So biggest amount of liquidity, right? Really sitting between down here around the 61.8 all the way down to that $60,500 zone, right? So like the real clear area I would say is like, you know, a lot of liquidity sitting below these lows. What the heck is going on here? There we go. Where does this start? This starts at, yeah, about 61.8. So, yeah, pretty much like below, all below these lows. You can argue that all of this liquidity on this trend line may want to get taken out, right? Get accepted into the high, down to the POC. I always have to remember sometimes I'm drawing on a minuscule chart. Lose the PLC, take out all that liquidity, right? We've developed a lot more liquidity down here. Originally, it was below 61,500. But now that has kind of crept up as you have people entering longs, right? You get those extra stop losses down below. So kind of got a ton of liquidity down below, to be quite honest with you guys. And then the biggest amount of liquidity above us, just go ahead and take a look at that as well. Obviously, sitting above the high here, leading us, pretty close to that $68,000 resistance. So, a lot of liquidity down below, a lot of liquidity above. And oftentimes when you wait for those liquidity levels, those are the places to take the trades. The one thing I will say about the upper liquidity is that you have to be careful with that upper liquidity, because I will take a short up there if I see the confirmations. Let me pull up the macro. All right, I'll just mark it off like this. All right, there's your previous high. Liquidity sits above, I would say, up to about $68,000. Right? The one thing I would be careful with here is, remember, very simply put, looking at this as an area of interest, if we get the liquidity sweep or the SFP, we can look for the potential short position, right? We'll have other confirmations we're looking in there for entries as well. But from a very simple perspective, come up there, sweep out the highs, lose the level, opportunity for a short. But the reason I would be careful here is, remember, this $68,000 zone is also a big, big level that is holding us back from a potential massive short squeeze. So I would need to see the SFP. If we don't get the SFP, this thing might just be able to squeeze that liquidity. And again, as I always say, fast move down could lead to a fast move up. In which case, if we break 68K and get a big move up, the biggest level to look at is going to be $71,440 at the daily MPOC. So just a little bit of give you a little bit of my thought process if we do end up getting back up there. Got to be, I will be looking for the short, but you do have to be careful, because this is also the very big level that we look at on the daily and say, well, hey, if we want a big move up on Bitcoin, what is the biggest level to break? It is 100% $68,000. This opens up the door for a very large move up. Money flow coming up on the daily. So I would say the medium time frame's looking a little sus for more downside, but daily still looking pretty decent here, right? Like the daily was overbought. We had the red dot incoming. So not shocking to see a pullback, of course, from the key level of resistance we had talked about a million times on the live stream. Let's see. We have a big fair value gap on BTC from 63.6 to 63K. I'm just trying to see here if that lines up with any of the liquidity. Come on, chart. You can do it. There we go. All right, so 63, what do you say, 63.6. Thank you for the super chat. Shout out to Turtle Trader. Appreciate you. Not personally a fair value guy, not because I don't think they work or anything. It's just something I don't typically look at, not part of my strategy. But 60, as I always say, strategy to strategy, guys. We're all looking at the same chart, regardless of what patterns or strategies you're using. We're all looking at the same information, kind of just shown through different thought processes. And oftentimes you'll see a fair value gap line up with something that, I might be looking at on volume profiles or Fibonacci retracements. But he says 63.6 to 63K. 63.6, right? So just pretty much right below that low to 63K. Let me just see. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty close to the trend line and the Fibonacci retracement, right? Maybe come down there, sweep out the lows, get back up, higher low, higher high. That would be nice. That would be so nice. But yeah, I don't think, let me see. I might be able to pull up some of the auto-populating fair value gaps here on price actions concepts for Lux Algo if you are a fair value gap trader. Super nice way to very easily pull this stuff up. Again, I'm not a fair value gap guy, so I don't really have this set up. But let's see here. I don't know what time frame. Check the 4-hour. See here. Not seeing it. Again, I might have to change the settings or something. These are just default. But I always assume that that always typically lines up with something that we're looking at, which I guess would be the Fibonacci retracement. Yeah, so maybe something like in here. But yeah, interesting. Shout out to Turtle Trader. Always nice to see the other side of different strategies looking for similar things. They know everyone wants to short above 67K, which makes me wonder if it will go there. Yeah, shout out to Alien Psyop. I like the thought process. I know he's answered this a million times, and I've watched the beginner series, but I still can't figure out the exact indicators Frankie is using. Can anyone share? Shout out to Nick. Well, the one that I mainly use, right, the one that's always on my chart, this is Market Cipher, right? Specifically, Market Cipher B. Market Cipher has Market Cipher A, Market Cipher B. You also have Market Cipher DBSI, support and resistance. There's a bunch of different things. It's an indicator suite, but the main one that I pay attention to when you see me down here looking for the divergences and the money flow is simply Market Cipher B. It is a paid indicator, right? I'm never going to tell anybody you need a paid indicator. You're never going to make money if you don't get this indicator. Obviously, it's a main part of my analysis. It's super useful. I'd be lost without money flow, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, you don't need paid indicators. I like to be fully transparent. I know not everyone has money to throw out for a premium indicator, but if you do want to save money, you could use our link. But if you're just learning, don't worry about spending money right up front. Understand the price action, understand the free tools, candlesticks, understand the basic thing, divergences. You can, if you're looking for divergences and you don't have money to spend on a premium indicator, you can use the RSI. You'll get almost the same exact signals as far as the divergences. The one thing you won't get is the money flow. So there you go. And then I guess some people call this an indicator. I don't call this an indicator. This is a tool. This is the fixed range volume profile. So those are the two main things. Like I would say if I am a market cipher trader and I am a volume profile trader, if I had to classify myself if I had to put myself in a box. So those are the main two main tools that I use. And then, of course, I do pull up Lux Algo. I usually use this for specifically looking at the where is it at? I can't see it. Man, this OLED is difficult to see the darks because they're so dang dark. There we go. Signals and overlays. I usually use this to find, I like to look at the smart trail, which is essentially just like a dynamic support and resistance zone. I like to look at this on the higher time frames. They can give you some really, really big, clear signals, right? Once you flip red, probably time for the bear market, right? You get a little flip of green here, but for the most part, you continue down. Once it flips green, it is typically a sign of a massive trend change. So we could kind of watch the same thing on the way up, right? Resistance, right? This will probably move or will move over time decisively. Once we get back up there, right, this could be a very big level to watch. If we can flip it and it turns green, it could be a sign that we are about to turn a massive downtrend into a massive uptrend. Also, Lux Algo is very nice, depending on what kind of trader you are. Price actions concepts is really good for beginners to learn actual price action, market structure. It labels out the market structure for you, change of characters, breaks of structure, etc. Super, super useful for beginners. They also have their own version of money flow, which is just a little different than Market Cipher. Not better, not worse, just different. Lux Algo's money flow is just more reactive, meaning it moves up and down faster. But when you see me, this is my base chart, is what I'm looking at, is volume profiles and Market Cipher B. Let's see. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything. Volume profile is the best indicator, in my opinion. Then Fib. Yeah, Fibonacci retracement is another big thing that I like to use. Anchored VWAPs. There's a lot of stuff that I incorporate, but the basis of it is, I would say, volume profiles, right? Like, I am a volume profile trader through and through. And the reason for that is because this is not some magic line on the chart. This is not some speculative just an imaginary line, right? These levels are based off volume. So, regardless of where you pull these from, I have the ways that I like to pull them to see previous value. But anywhere you pull these, you're going to get significant volume derived levels, which is important for me. And then looking at the profile, you could kind of understand, if you guys remember all the way back, no hate whatsoever, right? But the fact of the matter is, everybody looks for the higher low, right? Everyone's, oh my God, super cycle, every single time. Same thing happened here, super cycle. How was I able to avoid those bad crowd calls, right? Oh my God, high or low, and I get ripped apart in these situations too, because people say, oh my God, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. This is a high or low. He doesn't understand market structure. And it's like, of course I understand market structure. You have to understand not every high or low is created equal. How do I know whether a high or low has a high probability of giving me a higher high, or if that high or low is eventually going to shift to putting in a massive downtrend? Well, I very simply use money flow, right? And volume profiles. When we pull up the visible range volume profile here, and you guys will know, right? Back to my original point, everybody high or low, people are still, bullish, you could say, right? I would personally say, people are still thinking, they still have hope here, right? And we discussed this all on the drop to the downside. We identified after our retracement that the top was likely in at 126K. I sold most of my Bitcoin here. I have a portion of my Bitcoin that I'll never sell. That's why I say most. But I sold my spot bags up here, looking for the big drop to the downside. And then as we consolidated, how did we know that not only were we likely to put in lower highs, where we shorted $98,000 for a big drop down, but not only did we understand that the trend would continue down, but we also specifically looked for a fast drop, a capitulation, a massive puking of red candles. How did we identify that? Very simply put, we look at the volume profile, right? The value area high, the value area low, the POC lets you know the context and where you should be looking for longs and shorts. But when you're just looking at overall volume in general, you could say to yourself, well, hey, I have a fast move down here. There is a fast move up here, right? There is not a lot of volume here. This is a massive low volume gap. Price does not like to stay in this zone for very long. So how do we use that information? We say, well, hey, my bias based on money flow and the cycles and everything we talked about here was that this would eventually give us a pump for a lower high, which we longed, right? And then we flip short at $98,000 for a massive capitulation down. Not just a pullback, but a very high probability of a massive capitulation. How did we know that? Well, we marked it out on the live streams. Come on, volume. There you go, right? We had a massive low volume gap here. And I always mark it off like this. I got my little preset. There's your gap. If we lose these lows, money flow is coming out, crossing into the red, indicating the trend will continue down. Weekly money flow is about to cross red. Big indication that you are about to capitulate into the depths of the bear market. And we use that volume profile to understand that once we lose this level, expect a free fall. Because through these low volume gaps, come on volume, you can do it. Price does not like to stick through these, right? Price sticks to high volume nodes and flushes through low volume nodes, right? And where does it gravitate to? High volume nodes. Get a little bounce, get into the gap, very aggressive trend to the upside through the gap, back down very quickly, and then we just continue to capitulate down. So that's how we use the volume. It not only is it good for context when you're looking for trades, but it is also very, very nice when looking at the higher time frames. Shout out to Pennywise in the chat, everybody's favorite friendly clown. He's got a new ominous profile picture with the one balloon. Shout out to Pennywise. Welcome in, brother. Let's see. This is a masterclass. Yeah, shout out to Nick. We do masterclasses here almost every single day, giving out that free value. Make sure I didn't miss anything here. Shout out to Dylan. Welcome in, brother. Welcome in. Many indicators can show money flow momentum. Yeah, there's many money flow indicators. They're all calculated slightly differently. I'm sure you could probably code it to calculate it exactly the same. I don't know what the exact settings on what the exact settings of Market Cipher B are. Shout out to, man, I don't even know how to say that name. But he says, Carl said a week and a half ago, BTC will go to 83K soon. How can someone with 10 years of experience, oh my God, there's no spaces there. I can't even read this. Be consistently wrong about price of BTC. ETH, I think it says ETH and other altcoins. Oh my God. I don't know how there's no spaces in there. But yeah, I mean, hey, who knows? If we get the bigger breakout, they may end up being correct, right? I mean, it ain't over, I guess, until you break the low. I guess that's where you'd say they were wrong. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know their specific hit rate or anything like that. But, I do, it's really hard, right? I try to be the voice of logic or the voice of reason. I try not to come up here and tell people like, guys, oh my God, Bitcoin's going to go to this price. I try to be as specific as possible, give you the bullish case, the bearish case, and then which way I'm leaning and why. I like to show my work on why I think something's going to happen. But I also do have kind of a soft spot because, anybody out there talking about what they think is going to happen, it's very, I don't know the word, right? It's a very, you got to have some like balls to do it, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, I've been trading also for about, I was saying this to the Discord earlier. I've been in crypto for the better half of a decade, right? I guess it's like since 2017. So technically 2016, but it was the end of 2016. So I'll say 2017, right? And I know for a fact, over my experience, the one thing that I have learned from a trading perspective is that no matter how confident you feel, you always have to be aware of the other end of the coin, right? More often than not, when we talk about these pumps, right, all these big retracements within the bear market we have called for based on the TA, right? Not just because I want price to go up, but we have called all of these pumps. Not bragging, not trying to boost my ego at all. Just the reason we do this is because of the TA, which I teach you here for free every single day. Called this one, longed it, not only called it, right, longed it, then flipped short, caught the entire move, longed this, didn't long it at the exact low. We caught the retracement, looked for the big continuation up, right? Why did we look at that? Daily money flow crossover. Why did we look at this? Daily money flow crossover. Why are we looking at the same thing happening here? Right? Daily money flow crossover. This, just because it happened here and it happened here, does not mean that it has to happen here, right? But I have to have a statistical higher probability of that happening, right? And that's why the higher time frame bias would be that we can still look for higher lows and higher highs. But there is always going to be an invalidation for that, which I gave you guys the exact level I'm looking at for that invalidation, right? I don't know for a fact. I wish I did. I wish I had some kind of magic crystal ball that said 100% we're going to go up to this level, right? There's no one out there that can do that. And that's why I like to show the bullish case, the bearish case, and show my work, right? And then show you exactly what I'm doing, right? We're right a lot, right? But I'm never going to be right 100% of the time. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. That's part of the game. But yeah, of course, if you understand how to do the TA, you're going to be right more often than you're wrong, right? So we'll see. Maybe this daily money flow fakes out, but I will say if it does not, if this winds up playing out with the daily money flow crossover and the overall continuation of the major uptrend, I guess 83K would be like the major high. But, I take it level to level, right? Where's my macro profile, right? We understand this is key resistance, right? It's an if this, then that. If we flip 68K, then we can start looking up to 71,440 and then eventually $77,000. And then maybe we deviate above the high and who knows? Maybe we hit that 83K level and they end up being correct. Who knows? But I would say if that bullish case plays out, hey, maybe we go and take the highs. Could be possible. Frankie Candle's got the magic lines. Speaking of magic lines here, guys, pull up the Discord. I never, let me just make sure I'm not leaking anything secret here. Wouldn't be fair for the people who pay for the premium. But just to kind of call for or show this, right? Like, I don't ever want to come up here and like pretend that we're right? This is exactly what we looked for. As we hit the major level of resistance, I took the short right here, looking for the continuation down to the value area low and eventually our major target, which of course, Bitcoin is sitting right here right now. And we look for that to continue down, right? What happens? Price beautifully, a few days later, comes right into that zone. Just because this plays out, I mean, we're on a hot streak right now. These magic lines have been playing out, I don't know how many times in a row. But there are times where I draw the line, and once in a while, it'll go the opposite way. It's just the game of trading, right? No one's going to be right 100% of the time, and I am absolutely proud of the CandleMafia on how right we are as often as we are. Let's see. Shout out to Super Sammy. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate you so much. He says, Frankie, a lot speak about July closing green. We have a week left. Yeah, I mean, listen, it looks like July will close green. I mean, unless we wind up getting the big breakdown, it does look like it will close green. I believe green is typically a July month. July is typically a green month. So I guess not super shocking there. Again, that's not something I typically like that. You could think of that stuff, right? Like sell in May, walk away. Never something that I really trade based off of, right? For me, show me the chart. If I see a super bullish chart, for instance, let's say Bitcoin comes down to a macro key level of support. I have massive bullish divergences. I have all the signals, all the money flow calling for higher, and it's May. I'm not just going to say it's going down because May, right? I would have to go with the chart every single time. But yeah, it does look like, we got a few days left here. It looks like, unless we get a massive, massive crazy dump, it looks like July has a good chance of closing green, right? Shout out to Super Sammy. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate you. Magical. I kind of want to make an indicator called YOLO indicator. Hey, I mean, you could probably just search up any buy and sell indicator. I think I've saved some of these. Of course, I would never tell anyone to trade a buy or sell indicator, but you could probably pull up any kind of buy and sell indicator and call that a YOLO indicator, right? Just sell on the sells, buy on the buys, right? This is obviously not a way to trade. I know it looks good, right? It looks really good in hindsight. But trust me, when I first started trading back in the day, I had the same idea. It does not work. If it did, I would just program a bot to just trade off these signals. It looks a lot better on a higher time frame. But the problem with buy and sell indicators is a lot of the time, I'm not picking on this one specifically. It's just the first one I clicked. By the time you buy, I mean, this one's got TPs. But a lot of the time, right, you can get a sell indicator, and then by the time you sell, you're in at the low, right? This indication popped up right here on a red candle. You long here, you're instantly in drawdown. Yes, you continue down, but it's much better to understand price action, right? Maybe you're looking for a local bounce here into a Fibonacci retracement, and then you look for the short. Again, you have to kind of use some critical thinking and just be like, if it was that easy, right, set a bot up and just print billions and billions and infinite money, right? I wish it worked like that. Just put an agent to trade the green and red dots on Market Cipher. Yeah, I guess on a higher time frame. And that's the thing too, right? Like Market Cipher, when I first started looking at Market Cipher, I was like, oh, this looks so good. I'll just sell red dots on the daily. I'll just buy green dots on the daily, right? But again, situation perfect example here. There is no shortcuts, guys. I wish there was, and I say this from experience. I know there's a lot of new people out there that are just saying like, oh, this looks simple enough. I'll just buy the green dot and sell the red dot. But you'll find situations like this where it's, oh, green dot, buy, and then you get a dump, right? And then another green dot, right? Indicators are not perfect. The better thing to look for, in my opinion, right, is, of course, I use these green dots, but I don't use them as signals, right? I'm looking at this as, hey, there's a bullish divergence, right? And this is telling me that there's a deviation between your price action and your momentum. Oftentimes, this is where you see big reversals. So it's not like I would ignore the green dots, right? You just have to use them. You don't want to use one thing alone, right? There's no magic pill, and I did not get to skip the hard part of trading, right? I'm just already past that point. I went through the hard part, trying every buy and sell indicator, trying everything to just take that shortcut and get rich overnight. And the one thing that I learned is an absolute truth is there is no shortcut. It takes time. But the one beautiful thing about that is, the fact that it is not a get-rich-quick scheme, the fact that it is not super easy means that it's possible, right? And it is worth the struggle, in my opinion, or at least for me personally. I can't say it's going to be true for everybody. Not everyone's going to become a profitable trader, just statistically. But if you have the grit, and, I was hitting my head against the wall for years, guys, a long time, longer than I needed to. But it pays out infinitely, right? Like now, I have the freedom of being a trader, right? I get to make money from my computer on my own terms, and it's one of the most rewarding things ever. But nothing worthwhile comes easy, which should motivate you, right? If you don't want to put in the work, right, trading is probably not the thing for you. I think a lot of people get gravitated towards trading because it's falsely sold as a get-rich-quick, super easy type thing, right? And that's just not the case. You could totally make money trading, obviously, but a lot of people are not as truthful about the very rough road. If you've actually gone from being a bad trader and getting out to the other side, I don't think there's anybody out there. I don't think there's one single trader out there that jumped on the chart the first week and just figured it out and was able to win every single trade, right? Even the best traders in the world lose trades. I lose trades too. Same here. Shout out to Torb says, same here. I made and lost 100K several times before I was able to become consistently profitable. Yeah. And it's like looking back, it's like, it's always so easy. Like hindsight's 2020, right? I look back. Why was I losing money consistently? I say this all the time. I was very good at TA and very good at predicting price action way before I started making money. There was a time in my career where I was saying, hey, we're going to bounce here and go here. We're going to reject here and go here. We're going to bounce here and go here. And I would call it perfectly. and I would lose money, lose money, lose money, right? Understanding the price action, predicting where it goes is only part of the battle, right? TA is the easier part of trading, right? It's the actual putting money on the line, remaining psychologically disciplined, right? That is the difficulty. And why was I losing money? You would say, how could you possibly lose money if you're saying it's going up here, going down here? And how could you be right but still lose money? Well, it's very simple. Even if, right, a lot of the times I would say it's going to bounce here, I would get too scared to enter the trade. Then I would enter it late. I would go on an absolute roller coaster ride. Then I'd feel like a genius. I wouldn't take profits. I would get greedy, and all of a sudden I would stop out and a lot of times get liquidated and lose money. And at the end of the day, while I was fumbling the bag, right, I could have just stayed consistent and robotic, seen the confirmations, taken the trade, actually taken profit. But you could be right about the move up. If you're not going to pay yourself and you're going to hold it for the next ride down, you could absolutely lose money while you're still right. It's like a paradox, right? It's like, how could you be right about price action and not make money, right? You could be good at TA and terrible at trading. Not every good technical analyst is a good trader. They might not be good at handling, controlling their emotions or staying disciplined or, staying robotic in seeing their confirmations and sticking to their system. There is at this point, there is absolutely no emotion in my trading. If I see the confirmation, I take the trade. If I lose that trade, I already have the defined risk. It's absolutely robotic, right? It's not like if I see a setup that's perfect, right? For instance, this setup right here, we took the confirmations into the key level. It's playing out very nicely right now, right? If I don't take profits, right now, I'm going to wait for a key level to get hit. But let's just say it doesn't come up to my target and I get stopped out for a loss. The next time I see that setup, I am still going to take the trade, right? Because statistically, right, over time, I'm going to win more than I lose, right? And if my losses are small and my wins are big, that's how you can remain consistently profitable over time. But this took me a very long time to figure out. The TA probably took me a lot shorter, right? But it's practicing the mental discipline muscle that becomes very difficult for people, especially when there's money on the line. And then add in the flurry of other things, such as people over-leveraging, trading with way more than they're willing to lose, not setting stop losses, not understanding risk management, right? If you're thinking, oh my God, if this long doesn't play out, I'm going to get absolutely wrecked, you're going to have a very difficult time managing that trade. For me personally, this is generally my trade, right? I'm just going to rough this out, right? My stop loss is here. If this stops out, stopped out. Okay, right? On to the next trade, right? As long as there was a confirmation into the key level and it was a trade I planned on taking, that was a good loss, right? I had a setup. I was into a key level. I saw the confirmations. I took the trade. If that doesn't play out, it's a loss, sure. But it's a controlled loss. I use good risk management, and it was a valid trade. I'm going to take that trade consistently, right? Hopefully that makes sense. How much is your Discord? If you check out the link in the description down below, Frankie, just go to frankiecandlestrading.com. You'll see it there. I believe it's 60-something a month. But you could save money if you buy like multiple months or a year. And if we get 550 likes on one of our live streams, we'll be giving away 10 discount codes. Let's see. I'm getting something to drink. Be right back. Shout out to Jesse. Is it what are you drinking? I'm going to guess Diet Coke. I don't know why. Mrs. Candles is on a Diet Coke kick. She's like addicted to that stuff now. It's easy to let your yeah. How crazy is that, bro? Shout out to Morningstar. It's easy to let your losers run, but not your profits. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's why I always say I think greed is a. I don't know if you're saying people cut trades too early, but I always say I think greed is a stronger emotion than fear. I think more people, in the weirdest way, would rather have a trade go against them. I think more people are, I think most people are more likely to just like lower their stop loss. Like they don't care about the fear. They're just like, oh my God, like I don't want to lose the trade. I don't want to lose the trade, right? They're fighting ego, right? If your trade's invalidated here, why would you just like pull it down to be right? Right? Why would you not just stop out for a small loss and then look for a new setup, right? If your key level is here and then your next key level, if your key level is here that you're longing, right? And your invalidation's below, and then your next key level is down here. Why would I drag this stop loss? If we lose this level and I'm expecting to go here, why would I just not want to be wrong and drag that stop loss all the way down, right? Why would I not just stop out for a small loss and then take another good risk to reward down at the next key level and not have to endure that extra drawdown? But I do think more people are comfortable just like sitting in the fear and like putting themselves at more risk rather than when their trades play out. Most people are just thinking, just let it go. Just let it go. Just let it go. I'm not taking profits. I'm not closing it. I guess it's kind of the same thing, but flipped upside down. But yeah, I do think greed is a much more powerful emotion than fear. I had too much Thai Coke already today. Shout out to Jesse. He's going for the regular Coke, baby. Shout out to Borbull says, yup, I am a bull bias trader. Don't like to short, and it costs me a lot over the years. Need to just flip the chat. Shout out to Borbull. I don't know exactly what you mean by flip the chat, but that's totally fine. I'm a bi-directional trader. I will long, I will short. It's just candles moving to me. If I see an opportunity to make money on the move down or the move up, I'm going to take that opportunity. Nothing wrong with being a bullish bias, though. You just prefer to take longs. That's totally fine. Shout out to Ali says, I'm good at TA, but yesterday greed got me. I did not TP at 39K profit. That was a trade on gold. Greed is evil. Yes, greed is definitely evil. Not only in trading, but I would say in life, greed is evil as well. Flip the chart. I might have just misread that. I tell people to do that all the time, especially when you're looking at cycles, right? Like if you're scared that like, oh my God, it's gonna go lower, it's gonna keep going lower, right? And you're just thinking like where would you take the short, right? Like, oh my God, weekly bearish divergence, right? What would I expect there, right? Generally, I would expect, for up here, I would expect some kind of move to the downside on a bearish divergence, right? Just flip it upside down. I would say, honestly, I think my brain, I obviously take shorts and longs like unbiasedly, but I think my emotion, which obviously I don't act on, but I do think in a weird way, I do favor shorts. I say this a lot. I don't, there's no valid reason for it. I think it's just the fact that I feel like gravity is on my side, right? It's like harder to go up. Like, why not just go with gravity? I think like if I had to pick something or judge myself as like a directional, one direction or the other, I think I do feel more comfortable taking shorts. I don't know what it is. But yeah, of course, it's just volatility is what we need. Let's see. So yeah, I'll take a look at some of the altcoins. I'm not going to go deep into the altcoins today. I really just wanted to cover the key levels on Bitcoin. But I will check in on Ethereum real quick. Also, right, again, like in this environment, it's like Ethereum is basically just tied to Bitcoin, right? We've talked about this on the past live stream. Let me actually pull up where's the... Right, we're inside our larger volume profile. We came down to the value area low with exaggerated bull divs. Hold the low, bullish divergences, next likely stop POC. We are still just hovering on top of this point of control, right? I would just say from a simple perspective, point of control is your biggest level of support. If we can hold on top of the POC, we could continue our overall gravitation towards our next big key level of resistance, which is going to be sitting right here between these two dailies. I think there's a daily MPOC in there as well, between about 2,000, I call it 2,000 to 2115. Still going to be the next major target to the upside as long as we can hold on top of the point of control of the range. Now, of course, if we do come and take this out, right, lose the POC, we could kind of just, POC is the strongest magnet within the profile. You could kind of chop around here for a little bit. From a structure perspective, pull your full golden pocket 786 from the low to the high. When we look at Bitcoin's macro golden pocket on the daily time frame, money flow also in the green here on Ethereum. If we were to pull back all the way here, right, this still could be a big level to look at, right? Just like Bitcoin, head and shoulders looks a bit different, but you have like a little slanted head and shoulders there for a potential bigger breakout, right? But yeah, I mean, you still have, if it goes for the bigger pullback, there's still a lot of room to come down here, maybe sweep out some of that liquidity. And then once we get down here, we can re-identify what the money flow looks like and try to see if that looks good for a higher low or if it's much higher probability to continue to the downside. But the biggest way that I'm looking at this is, number one, through the larger volume profile. We'll cover these levels when they become more relevant, but just longer term here. POC, massive level. Next target, 2,000 to 2113. And if you want to look at this a little bit more locally, you can always pull up your current range, which sits, can actually pull this to here, right? POC is very close to your value area low. Your goal here would be to stay inside the profile. and then continue back up towards the PLC. And what a shocker, that point of control, which is the next high probability target as long as you stay inside the profile, is the same exact zone from the macro profile, right? Just those dailies. But that daily is also the point of control of the range locally, which is nice, right? Stay inside the range. Whoops. Stay inside the range. POC could be next. 100% got confluence up there at that key level of resistance. The question is, on these pullbacks, how deep will they go? Are we going to hold the aggressive higher lows and continue up, or are we going to have to go back down for some deeper pullbacks, which, again, could bring you all the way back down there to that golden pocket? And then we'll have to reassess the situation because that will be a pretty big pullback. So, yeah, I would say daily money flow still in pretty good shape here, still in the green, right? Daily red dot, no shocker to see a pullback. You got the first red dot, pullback, held support, second red dot now printing. Technically, no divergence here if you want to nitpick that. So, yeah, I would say long-term kind of overall thought process, 2-day red dot looking to print. Same thing on Bitcoin, right? You got the higher time frame red dots potentially looking to print soon as well. So, yeah, I would say like medium time frame, pullbacks are likely, but it does not step on the higher time frame context of this daily money flow. So, come on. This would be so nice. I would just like, honestly, guys, I don't really have a huge preference here. Whether we get the big breakdown or the big breakup, I am just sick of this chop. Super brutal. Shout out to Crypto Spirit, said, Frankie, save us. Buy it. Buy and send price up. Me and Golden are going to join forces and send this thing to the moon. I do have to be transparent there. Golden's probably going to be carrying me on that. Let's see. Shout out to TDK, said, not everybody makes it past university third year and become masters in their field. Trading's no different. The work and sacrifice you put in is what you get out. The rewards are endless, not dropping out. Yeah. Shout out to TDK. That is my exact experience, bro. I think one of my biggest edges that I have had in my career is the fact that, honestly, for better or worse, I'm thick-headed. Like, I did not care that I was getting wrecked. Like, I was going to figure it out. The fact that there would even be one person that was able to do this was enough for me to say, if they can do it, I can do it. And having that mindset, and the thing is, I went into it knowing it was not easy. I thought it was easy in the beginning because I was pretty much told by anything I was looking at that, oh, get rich quick, right? But once I understood that, and I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Why would I expect to make a brain surgeon's salary without, by just watching one YouTube video or reading one article, whatever it is, studying one strategy after a week? Like, why would I think that that would be plausible? But you see people doing it. I'm like, well, you find someone honest and they tell you how hard it is and how much work it takes. Once I understood that, I was willing to put in as much work as possible. I was going to figure it out or die trying. Shout out to 50 Cent. A lot of people don't want to do that, right? And that's totally fine. I mean, I'm not going to say, oh, you can't, you're weak, right? No, not everybody wants to be a trader. Maybe not everybody has the same goals. It's totally fine. But I would say like that level of grit and the need to figure it out is absolutely necessary. And trading will test you. Absolutely. Let's see. Shout out to Rokinone. I don't know how to say your name, bro. I apologize. Say, can you show your fixed range volume profile, row size, and value area? My row size is 250. And my value area is 70. There you go. Didn't even have to show it. Shout out to Wig, said, don't let him lie to you. All this stuff comes second nature to him. You'll never harness the skill like Frankie has. Shout out to Wig. I appreciate that. I guess second nature at this point. But definitely was not like that in the beginning. And it's really hard to tell people, against like school too, right? People lose money. I think people get into trading and they say, I'm getting in this to make money. They take their first trade, and even if they don't get liquidated or wrecked, they see their account go from $1,000 to $950, and they're like, what the heck? This doesn't work. I got into this to make money, and I lost money. Right? And that's kind of where they're like, I have to actually study this for a long time and fail and grow and build a skill. Nah. I think that's the problem, right? Most people just get in because they think it's easy and it's a get-rich-quick scheme. And that's what makes most people fail. But yeah, I guess second nature at this point, that's for sure. Let's see. His dad is Satoshi. Shout out to Rich. You're not supposed to say that, bro. Shout out to Pennywise, said, every time I come around, we chop. I disappeared right after the top, and we got a pretty decent drop. Maybe this time, if I go bye-bye, we will go up and to the sky and fly high. Shout out to Pennywise. Hopefully. Pennywise, get out of here, bro. Come on. Let's try it. Got to pay market tuition if you want to make money. Absolutely. That's definitely the case for me. Luckily, I wasn't working with a lot of money, so it's not like I was blowing up $100,000 accounts. So even when I was blowing up accounts, they were relatively small. Once you had your strategy, how long did it take you to build your capital up to the level you wanted? Shout out to Neon. It depends. I mean, I've invested more, right? The more confident you get in your strategy, the more confident you are. Let's just for random examples, say I was trading with a $1,000 account, and I was able to grow that to $1,500, $2,000. You start to figure it out. You kind of prove the concept, right? It's like, all right, well, I've taken losses and wins over the past 3 months, but I'm ending up profitable. You start to build more confidence to invest more money, right? So my capital is not just built from trading. I eventually started investing my own money that I was making from other ways and put that in there as well. And also, like, consistently taking money out, right? Like, I don't think it's smart to and I'm glad you asked this question because I don't think a lot of people talk about this, right? Like, if you have to think about it, right? At some point, I think a lot of people just look at it as numbers on a screen. At some point, you have to especially the longer you trade, you get detached from the money. It just becomes a number on the screen. You have to. I generally think that it's important for people to pay themselves, right? If you have $1,000 account, right, and you take a trade and you make, let's just say, we'll be conservative, right? Let's just say you make $100. Withdraw that $100. Right? Take that $100 out. Touch it. Right? Touch it. Otherwise, you're going to wind up going from 1,000 to 2,000 to 4,000 to 8,000. Right? This is going to take time. But eventually, you're just going to have this gigantic number, and you've built up all this money, and you're just consistently risking the money. Right? For me, I kind of, you could give me $2,000 and I could just start making money with that. It's just kind of like you need that fuel to make the money. Now, obviously, if you have $20,000, you could take bigger position sizes while still keeping 1% risk and you'll make more money on the trades. Of course, that's the case. But, if you're going to go from 1,000 to 1,000,000, right? Like you're only risking, you only have $1,000 in your account here. Once you're at 500K, like you want to realize some of that, right? Because you're still going to have fuel in the tank to make more money. So you want to withdraw, realize the money, right? Like, who cares if you have a 7-figure trading account, right? If you're just going to build it up and build it up and build it up and build it up, like what, for one big payday? Like, why not treat it like a job? If I can make $1,000 this week, I'm going to withdraw that $1,000 and start fresh next week, right? You make $2,000 the next week, take out another $1,000. You're making $1,000 a week trading. And there's a million ways you can skin that cat, right? But yeah, I think it's really going to be different. Maybe some people are just, I'm going to go from 1,000, grow it into 5 million, and that's my exit. I'm going to take it out and pay all the taxes and, just take my money. But you could just see, I see trading as a active income source, right? Like, this is my job. I work for it. So you got to pay yourself. I realize the money. I also tell people, get some money on your desk. Take some money out of the bank. Buy some prop money, whatever you want to do, right? If you don't want to take the money out of your bank account. Get some money. Right? If you're up $1,000, if you have trouble taking profits, have some money on your desk, count out $1,000. Again, it doesn't have to be real money. It could be fake money. And hold that money. Right? The numbers on the screen are not going to make you feel the same as holding it in your hand. Feel that money and be like, hey, if somebody just dropped this money on my desk and said, if you want, you can have that money. Would you take it? Right? Feel it. Hold it. Just be like, yeah, if someone just dropped $1,000, I've made this today. If someone today just walked by my desk and dropped $1,000, would I take it? Sure. And that'll help you take profit, right? Like, you have to realize it at some point. Otherwise, it becomes a video game. And, again, you don't want to just consistently risk all of your capital. So, yeah, just food for thought. Shout out to Wick589, said, Darren knows, did I tell Frankie how I finally used some of the cash he helped me harness to buy the newest used vehicle I'll likely ever buy? Shout out to Wick589. Is that true, bro? Let's go. You realized it. You realized the money, bro. You changed your life, right? Even if it's in a small way, like getting a car, bro. You let it affect your life. That's awesome. Shout out to Wick. I hope that's true, bro. That makes me feel good. I think 2022 was the last mega bull market. Shout out to Dark Side. I mean, listen, I don't personally believe that. Could you be right? Maybe. All right, I guess you said 2022 bull market, so I assume you mean this one. I don't know. A lot of people would call this like a lackluster bull run. A lot of people say like this was the last real bull run and this one was just altcoins didn't follow. That has a lot to do with the macroeconomic situation, right? We were in a different situation macroeconomically than we were here. Also, like I talk about this a lot, social interest in 2021, right? Likely due to the macroeconomics of it. 0% interest rates, super low rates. Social interest here was like, I've drawn this 100 times, right? Let's say these are like just Google search term analytics, people looking into Bitcoin, right? YouTube views, all this stuff. Let's say this is a measure of 100, right? Up here in this bull run, that is what your social metrics looked like, right? Then the bear market comes, people lose interest, right? And then we eventually go down, right? In this bull run, the interest was like this throughout this whole bull run. It never even got close to where it was in 2021, right? So there wasn't as many people here during this bull run than there was here, which likely adds to the explosivity of it. So, I hope, right, in the next bull run, eventually if we have better macroeconomic conditions, we can get back to that massive attention and get more of like a euphoric bull run. This one was more of like a clean stair step up, which I do think over time as the asset class of crypto matures, obviously you will see the logarithmic regression. The higher the market cap gets, right, you will see these things kind of stabilize out. But I'm a firm believer that we will trend up over time, as Bitcoin has done for, since it was born. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I can hope. We can hope. I got sucked into that spiral until I blew up that account. Yeah, shout out to S. Yeah. Yeah, it's difficult, man. And because the other thing is the psychology changes as your bag goes up as well, right? Because if you start off trading with $100, right? Let's say you're using good risk management and like your trade's down $1.50. That's easy to stomach for most people, right? I'd say almost everybody can stomach that $1.50 loss. If you're trading with a $100,000 account, right, and you're down $500, that's a little bit different, right? That's where people start to think like, oh man, if I lose this $500, I could have bought something with that. Oh my God, right? So like the higher up, and this is something that I continue to deal with. The higher your, bigger your account, right? Like that psychology changes, right? For the moves up and the moves down, right? Your drawdown, even if you're using 1% risk, your drawdown on a $100,000 account is going to be much more than a $100 account. Can you stomach that, right? Even though percentage wise, it's the same. We can make a daily bear div on Market Cipher B. Potentially. You're not forming one right now. You would need another high, right? So maybe if we get a continued pullback or something like this, right, you would need to print this bull div. You would need some kind of a bigger pullback and then a new high. This momentum wave would have to come down, and then you put in another lower high, and then you could have a potential daily bear div up at the next level of resistance. But I will say, if we just eventually if we put an aggressive high or low here and continue up, you're not going to have that lower high. It'll just be like another higher high. But yeah, potentially if we get the bigger pullback. Let me check the 90-minute here. VWAP rolling over. Man, are we going to tap this value area low or what? Set an alert here real quick. See if we can tap this, man. Come on. It's like they know I took the trade. It was like, oh, fun. And we're just going to stall out here. Don't get them too excited. Let's see. Shout out to Bora Bull. Started off with 3,000, turned it into 150K, pulled it out, and started over as it was too easy to do 50K trades without thinking. No for me, a big no. I then put it down as a down payment for a property. Bro, I love that because not only are you like buying something and realizing those profits in real life, but you're also like diversifying your investment buying a property. That's super dope, man. That's super dope. And again, I think that's good as well, right? Like, I think too many people are interested in turning $1,000 into $1 million, right? Like, why not start to figure out how to turn $1,000 into $2,000 and make $1,000 in X amount of time, right? And then once you get to a point, let's say you have a 10K account and you're able to make $2,000 a week, why not start treating that as a job, right? And making $2,000 a week, which is more than a lot of people make. Start making the $2,000 a week and withdrawing it as a paycheck, right? That whatever the account you have, right? If you have a $20,000 account, you're making $2,000, whatever it is. Keep that initial capital in there. That's your fuel to make the money, and then withdraw the profit. You use the $20,000 to make $2,000. Why not continuously repeat that until you can build yourself financially up to a point where you can then invest more money and double your account, right? You could take that money, save $100,000, take $80,000, maybe buy a property, put it as a down payment for a property, or buy something, do something with that money, and take a small percentage of that money, the overall profit of that $100K, take $20K, and double your trading account. And then use the same percentages. Instead of going for $2,000 a week, and go for $4,000 a week, right? That way, you're growing your account while also paying yourself and like kind of stashing it off to the side, right? Because at some point, right, it is very important to diversify not only your portfolios in general, right, but your income, right? Like, by no means is it, I would advocate for people to have multiple streams of income, right? I never tell people to quit their job and go full-time trading, right? That is a terrible idea. Contrary to what a lot of people will tell you. It's a horrible idea. You're increasing your emotional attachment to the money because now you're trading with your rent money and you have no other income, right? It just adds so much more emotion to your trading, which is we're very likely going to lead to bad decisions, right? I just lost $1,000. Now I can't make rent. I need to find a trade today. Maybe there's no trade that day and you shouldn't be trading, right? Maybe there's no setup. Maybe there's no key level. Maybe the market is choppy. You're going to take that trade anyway, trying to make that money back, and you're going to lose even more money. Very likely. And it's very risky, right? At some point, right, eventually you can set yourself up to a point where your capital can produce passive income, and you can kind of have that as a safety net. But, like, even me, right? Like, I don't necessarily want to just risk all my money all the time, right? And obviously I have other forms of income as well, which is very nice. And that makes trading so much easier, right? Like, if you keep your job and learn how to trade at the same time, you are going to remove the emotional attachment because you have income. That's how I started. Right? I would trade. I was terrible. I was losing money, but I wasn't going underwater because I had money coming in from another place. Right? If I just traded in the beginning, it wouldn't have lasted long. I would have had no choice but to stop trading, stop risking money, and just go to get a job. Right? So what I did was I had side hustles. I was doing DoorDash. It wasn't DoorDash. It was something else, but similar. Doing side gigs. I had other forms of income that I would take a small percentage of what I was making from there and put it into a trading account. If I blow up this trading account, it's learning, and I still have my bills are being paid. Right? And that, I think that very much helped me because it helped me remove the emotion. Important stuff. We're talking mindset here today. Shout out to Hawk, bro. What is going on? Thank you for the super chat. Said I want that hat, Frank. Shout out to Hawk, bro. I think we gave you a hat back in the day. I'm sure you don't have it anymore, but I think we gave you a hat back in the day, bro. Next time we see you, we'll have to give you another hat, bro. Shout out to Hawk Crypto Tech. Welcome in. Good to see you in here, man. Hope you're doing well. Shout out to Siggy, said instructions unclear, took 20K and made 2K. Shout out to Siggy. Let's see. Trying to turn my 50, I think, into 100,000, that says. I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with taking a challenge, but at the end of the day, I think another thing a lot of people are, like, afraid to say on the internet, which is, like, the truth. I think a lot of people just don't want to say the truth because it doesn't benefit them. But listen, it is very hard to grow a large account, and I want to be very careful how I say this because I don't ever recommend, if you have a small account, to be extra risky. But at the end of the day, I think the fact of the matter is that if you have a small account and you want to grow that money, you are almost forced to be more risky, right? If you have $100, it is going to be very hard to take a 1% risk management rule, right? I don't even know if anybody knows what that's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a 1 and a percent. If you're risking 1% on a $100 account and you actually stick to that risk management, you are not going to get rich, right? Or it's going to take you a very long time to get rich, right? Which shouldn't be your goal for trading anyway, getting rich quick, right? I always said it the other day, right? It's like the fastest or the easiest, hardest way to make money, or fastest way to get rich slow. It's going to be very hard, right? So, like, at the end of the day, if you want to grow a small account fast, The only way to do that is to really just take on a ton of risk, which is fine if you are okay just almost guaranteeing that you're probably going to blow up that account, right? And in my head, it's just like, why even bother doing that? So what I tell people is take your $100 account, take your $1,000 account, use a 1% risk management strategy, right? Meaning that when you get stopped out of a trade, I see people misexplain this all the time. Risking 1% of a $100 account, people misexplain it as in you can only put $1 on the trade. That is not what that means, right? What that means is when you get stopped out of the trade, you only lose $1, right? You could put $50 on the trade. You could put 100. You won't be able to put, I don't think, the whole amount on, but you could put $80 on the trade. As long as when you lose that trade, you're only going to lose $1. That's what the risk means. So what I would recommend, right, for new traders is if you have $100, maybe it's 1,000, maybe it's 100. I'm just going to use 100 for the easy math. Use the 1% risk rule, right? And treat this at just pretend it's $100,000, right? And if you could turn that $100 into $150, that is 50% on the account. That is massive, massive. Yes, you can gamble and maybe turn that 100 into 1,000, right? If you're just super risky, right? But you cannot do that without risk if you want it to happen fast. So take a $100 account if that's what you're working with, risk 1%, and it might take you a long time to get to 150. And yes, that $50 is not going to change your life. I don't think, right? But that is not the goal, right? At first, right? You just gained 50% on your account, right? The capital, it's just numbers, right? It's just decimal places. Making $50, even if it takes you 3 months to make $50, on a $100,000 account, that is $50,000 in 3 months, right? However long it takes you. So you just look at that, right? And get comfortable trading. Forget about the money. Forget about getting rich. Just forget about it, right? Emotionally detach yourself from the money. The emotional detachment isn't just the emotions you feel when you lose. It is also the emotions of wanting to make money. Remove yourself. They are numbers on a screen. Think of them as points. If you can do this consistently, turn $100 into $50. Take the $50 out. Turn the $100 into $150 again. Now you've proven to yourself that you can consistently grow 50% on an account in X amount of time. Once you feel comfortable doing that, you can do one of two things. You can put more money into the account, or you could go get something like a funded account, right? Take the test or take the challenge, pass the account, get funded with 20, 50, whatever it is, X $1,000, and then grow that bigger amount of capital, right? And then if you could do the same thing you did with the $150 account, with a $100 account, you're going to make much more money, right? Take it step by step. I could guarantee you that will give you an infinitely higher probability of succeeding. But a lot of people don't want to stomach the fact that they're not going to get rich fast. And I say this from experience, right? I don't say this because I'm guessing, right? I tried to get rich fast. What happened? I lost all my money. Once I realized that I was going to take work and I understood the percentage view of things, that is where I started seeing a lot of growth, right? When I stopped chasing trades because I wanted to make money that day. When I stopped taking trades that weren't at a key level, right? Because I was impatient. When I stopped forcing stuff, right? And actually started following the plan. I got to take this trade today because I want to make money today, right? It's like, well, there's no setup. I'm not going to take the trade, right? Huge, huge shift moment for me in my trading journey when I realized that. Or you could take some of your profits and buy a Frankie Candles Richardson 112 hat. Absolutely. Shout out to Nick. And I'm not even trying to show the hats, guys. Full disclosure, we don't make money on these hats. We basically break even. We might lose money on them. But we're all about community here. So we'll never stop offering them. Let's see. Do I see a 4-hour bearish divergence? Man, is this thing going to hit the value area low here? We're running out of time. Do not see a 4-hour bearish divergence because a bearish divergence needs a higher high on your price action and a lower high on your momentum wave. So hypothetically, if we were able to get back into this profile and push into that next key level of resistance, I just leave that there. So, if this, then that. But yeah, you would need to take out this high in order to get a 4-hour bear dip from here. So we'll see. Pretty far away at this point, but something to maybe pay attention to when we get up there, if we get up there. Let's see. Shout out to Neon Visual said, I'm using your example of 2 years to prove it can be done. Shout out to Neon. Let's go, baby. I always ask yourself this question, right? I'll save you a lot of time. And, I know it's like, it's easy for me to say, right? Because I've already gone through that. I always tell people I didn't get to skip the hard part of trading, right? And to be honest, I think my hard journey of trading was a lot longer than a lot of the CandleMafia members, either that just watch the free live streams that have made progress, especially in the premium Discord. My journey was long and tough because I'm thick-headed, right? But I would say ask yourself this question. If you want to get, because this would have helped me in the beginning. I put $100 into account, blew it up immediately, got mad because I didn't get rich quick. If someone had just told me before I started, ask yourself this question. Why are you getting into trading? I want to get rich quick, right? Or I want to get rich. How long do you think it's going to take? Well, I don't know, maybe like a couple weeks. If I find the right strategy, the right indicator, or I get the right signals, whatever, like maybe a couple months maybe. Not for you, right? It's not for you. It's going to be too hard for you. And that's okay. It's not a bad thing, right? Ask yourself that question. Why are you getting into trading? I want to get rich. What's your time horizon? 2 years. Now we're talking. Maybe it doesn't take 2 years. Maybe it doesn't. It doesn't have to, right? Especially if you have someone like me able to share my experiences with you, right? And like share with you some of the mistakes I made so it could expedite your process, right? If you can learn from my mistakes and skip them, you're not going to take 2 years. You might take a year. You might take 6 months. You might take a year and a half. Who knows, right? But it's more about I hate to be woo-woo, right? But it's more about the mindset. You really want to be a trader? Why? I want the freedom, man. I want to be able to make money from my computer anywhere in the world. I want to make money, right? It's not wrong to want to make money trading. Obviously, that's the reason you want to get into it, and that's totally fine, right? But it's when people, what's the time horizon? 2 years. Now we're talking. Now I think you can do it. If you're willing to eat garbage for 2 years to figure it out, I would bet you'll figure it out before that. It's just a mindset thing. It doesn't have to take 2 years, right? But you have to be willing to understand that it's not going to happen fast, right? So there you go. Hopefully that helps someone out there. Because I want to own 10,000 dogs. Hey. Who said that? Shout out to Week 589. I'm right there with you, bro. And let me just show you something. Check the shirt. Tell your dog I said hi. This is my new favorite shirt. I'm never washing it. I'm never taking it off. Every day I am wearing this shirt. Shout out to Mrs. Candles for getting this for me. Oh, God. And the proceeds, I have a percentage, I'm sure, of the proceeds go to help animal shelters. So I have nothing to do with it. I just saw that and thought it was a cool shirt, and they said that it helped dogs if you buy it, and I bought like 5 of them, or Mrs. Candles bought like 5 of them. I got a sweatshirt, I got T-shirts, I got a hat, I got everything. Super dope. Shout out to all the dogs out there. And hey, guys, if you have a dog out there, tell them I said hi. Let's see. Shout out to Chris. Said, Frankie, can't wait for tomorrow with you. I love Freaky Frankie Friday. Shout out to Chris. Those are the streams where I don't wear socks. ETH, shout out to Hornbill Gaming. We did already take a look at ETH. If you scrub back to just start at the beginning of the stream, you'll see all the Bitcoin TA, and then we go into ETH. But yeah, we covered this. Key level of support right now, I would say locally, is between 1860 and 1831. If we end up losing that, let me pull up this lower volume profile real quick. Let me just... Silence. Yeah, I would say your biggest key level. I mean, of course, if you end up losing this value area low, I would look for a bigger drop to the downside. Let me pull up the macro profile. Yeah, I mean, you got a decent amount of support. So I would say once you lose this 786 at about 1834, you're getting accepted back out of your local profile, which could cause a bit more of a pullback down to these dailies. But when you look at this from the higher time frame perspective, right, it's not necessarily we're going to zero, right? Like this is still a major uptrend. You still have major support. wouldn't be until we lost it wouldn't really be until we lost this daily where I would say you're probably looking for a much bigger drop down, because if we pull this profile, yeah, you're losing the POC of the range. At that point, you're looking to go down to the value area low. So this is going to be key support. Let me just take it from here. So lose this. Probably looking at between 1774 and 1742. But other than that, as long as we stay inside this profile, I would just view this as a typical volume profile. Stay inside. Doorway to the POC remains open up towards the 2000 to 2113 level. Quick little recap of ETH. Shout out to XPR88 says, hey, Frankie, how much profit do you usually take when you take profit, when your take profit levels are hit? 50, 70? It depends. I always kind of like, if I were to just give a lesson on this volume profile, right? I just use, because this is a very common setup that I take. It's the basis of my strategies. Value area high, POC, value area low, looking for shorts at the highs, longs below the lows. Let's say you short up here, back into the range. You're expecting the gravitational pull towards your POC. You could take 50% out here, lose the POC, go down to the value area low, close the rest of that trade for a second take profit. You've gotten a full rotation, and then who knows, maybe you have another setup to take a long, and then rinse and repeat through the profile. Now, this does change setup to setup. But just, generally speaking on the volume profiles, that would be the simple way to look at it. If I have high time frame money flow coming out, for example, I'll show the actual long position that I'm in right now from $58,000. In this case, this is a little bit more of a nuanced situation. And I'll just use the local volume profile, not the macro. Right? I'll actually explain this, right? Because from a long-term perspective, on the daily, I have daily bull divs with money flow coming up. This indicates the overall trend can continue into this profile and get a massive move up. If that's going to be the case, I want to hold a portion of this trade, right? So when I look at it first, profile to profile, number one, I see the deviation below the low. And I'll go into bar replay mode for the saucy people who stayed till the end of the stream. I see the deviation below the volume profile. I see the daily bullish divergence. Just move this forward a little bit, right? I see that daily bullish divergence printing, and just to kind of show the exact entry strategy we used, we saw the daily bull div setting up, and the entry trigger here was a 1 hour bullish divergence with the SFP. That is what caused me to actually enter the trade. I know it's a huge question everybody has. It's like, when do you actually enter the trade? There you go. At this point, this profile is obviously moved around because it's pulled further to the right at this point. But at this moment, this was the profile. But just in general, my thought process here is going to be, I take the long. If I get inside the profile, POC can, when you're in below, this could potentially be a first take profit. But when my overall high time frame thought process is daily bull divs, potential money flow crossover for a massive move up, I may not want to take, I'll just use the general rule, first take profit at the POC, second take profit at the value area high. In this case, I did not take 50% and 50% and close the trade. Why? I will explain to you exactly why. Because when I see a daily bullish divergence forming, I think to myself, well, hey, I came into a massive monthly naked point of control, a high time frame key support level with daily bullish divergences. And if this daily bull div is going to give me a bounce on the way up, this money flow, we talked about this on the live stream, can very likely start trending to the upside. If it does, and we rotate this entire volume profile in full, let's just do it real quick. Obviously did. See if I can get this to actually load. Come on. Right? Filled it in full. In this case, with the daily money flow coming up, when I look at this range, daily money flow might trend up. At this point, I don't want to close the trade in full. I want to hold a portion of the trade. Because if that money flow crosses into the green, this could turn into a massive move and a breakout of the volume profile. Money flow indicates the overall trend. When money flow crosses into the green, there's a high chance that you could get a breakout of the range, right? So take profit one. Sure, you could lock in some profits, but I wouldn't do 50%, 50%, maybe 20%, 20%, hold the rest. 20%, 20%, hold the rest because of the daily money flow. It's not always like this, right? Sometimes it just looks like you're going to get another full rotation, so you could just take the range trade, flip short again, and go back down to the lows. But in this case, with daily money flow, which is obviously attempting to come up, right? Once you see this trend, it's like, well, hey, I don't want to close this trade in full. I want to lock in profits to protect myself, move my stop loss to break even. But if I understand that that money flow crossover could potentially give me a breakout of the range like it did here, well, I want to hold a portion of that trade, right? So the long-term thought process of the trades is important, right? We had a plan for this trade. It was a shorter-term trade through the local profile until proven otherwise, right? Or with the potential of turning into a swing trade. Why? Because you have bull divs at the low with money flow potentially looking to come up. And you have to kind of front run that idea, right? By the time we get up here, is money flow starting to trend up? It starts to trend up. At that point, you could say, I'm going to hold a portion of that trade for the bigger move. And who knows? Maybe it doesn't play out. So it is a little bit different level to level, trade to trade. Sometimes I'm just looking to take a trade from like the recent trade that we took in the Discord. Where is it at? Where is it at? I just don't want to leak anything in here. Wouldn't be fair for the people who pay. Just pull up that last short. Right? We had 1 hour bearish divergences into the above the value area high into key resistance. At this point, the idea is if we pull back, lose the value area high, let's go to the POC. But you can see our money flow was coming to the upside, like I just described. Pull the range back up, right? There's those same candles. Pushing up, looking to take the short, get accepted in here, looking for the POC. Why am I not instantly targeting the value area low? That daily money flow starting to trend to the upside, right? So what does that mean? Money flow continues up. You're looking for low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Doesn't mean I can't short from the value area high to the POC, but I might want to close the entire trade there, right? I might not want to take partial profits for a big continuation. Why? Because money flow is telling me the trend is going to continue up. So I view that as exactly what it is. I think this is still on the chart from the setups, right? Take the short into the POC. That's kind of the final target, right? Because money flow is coming up and the continuation higher is likely. And then we take the long, right? So it changes, right? So it's not an easy answer. But I would say generally in the volume profiles, if you're expecting the full rotation, 50 and 50 is usually what I would do. Long-winded answer, but you know, if it's not long-winded, it's a lackluster answer. And I don't give lackluster answers here. I want you to actually understand and improve. Shout out to Zuberi. Shout out to you, man. Said new to the channel. Seemed like a sensible guy. Appreciate that. I consider myself pretty sensible. I'm agnostic, man. I think that's what it is, right? Just agnostic. I think that's really the word. Like I don't have an emotional bias if price goes up or down, especially in trading. I would say I'm agnostic. I don't care if it goes up or down, right? It's an if this, then that statement to me. It's numbers, ones and zeros, statistics. But yeah, crypto doesn't sleep. However, I noticed movements in volume in specific times. Yeah, typically during New York session or like really any of the trading sessions. New York session obviously has the most volume. But yeah, someone asked me, do I have any rules against taking trades outside of regular trading hours or like New York session? And the answer is no. And why is that? I mean, I could probably find an example. I can't remember specifically. Like, let's see, when was this trade posted? Yeah, so this was like 12 p.m., so that was at normal time. But there's tons of times where I will have a setup. Let me actually see here. I don't want to go too low here because I don't want to share anything secret. But yeah, I mean, let me see here. 4 a.m., right? So this obviously is 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. You get a massive move. But yeah, I mean, if I see a trade set up at night, let me see, like during here. Let me pull this back real quick. Use this 15-minute blood diamond to identify where that was. Yeah, right here. When is this? Yeah, this is at like midnight, right? So like if I think that we're going to get a retracement here and dump, if this happens at midnight, I'm still going to go ahead and take that trade. And the reason I bring that up is because if that's the right price action, which I think it is, that is a trade that I took in the middle of the night, right? Like if I see the setup, I don't care what time it is. Let me see. Here it is. No, that must be the wrong price action. Yeah, that was at like 5 p.m., right? But that's when New York is closed. So like, technically you could say that's after hours. But at the end of the day, if this sets up at 1 in the morning and I see it, if it sets up at 10:30 p.m., doesn't matter. If I see the setup, I'm going to take the trade. I can't tell you how many trades I've taken like right before I go to sleep. Stop loss set, obviously, assuming I remember, which is 99% of the time. But I'll lie if I've told you I never woke up to a liquidation that I didn't mean to have. But if it happens at 10:30, I'm taking the trade. It's a setup, key level, confirmation, trade. Does not matter what time for me. But typically, you'll get more volume during the New York session. So you're right at the end of the day. So yeah, the sun is always up somewhere. Yeah, the other trading sessions like Asia session, London session, they just don't have as much volume as New York. So New York usually has the most volume. Shout out to Miguel. Says on the premium, do you just do BTC and ETH or any other altcoins? It depends on the environment. Sometimes I'm focused on Bitcoin for months, and then when I get more interested in altcoins and I'm looking to trade the altcoins more, we'll have situations where we post a lot of the altcoins. It's really like seasonal. So yeah, it's not that we never look at altcoins, but it is like recently I've been like almost solely focused on Bitcoin. Yeah, sometimes it's at Asian, sometimes it's the EU, but New York moves the market more frequently. Yes, that's very well said. Sometimes you'll see moves in the middle of the night, and then but I would say consistently New York's the most volume. Drop it like it's hot. Oh wait, yeah, drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Shout out to Jay. I'm gonna change that a little bit. Drop a like it's hot. Drop a like it's hot. Shout out to Jay Pippin. Welcome in, brother. But yeah, guys, I was kind of trying to hold out here to see if we could hit the value area low. But we're running out of time here, so I don't know if we're going to hit this, at least live. But just to leave you guys with the key levels, if you just tuned in a little bit late, biggest levels of support. Let me pull them up. I'll give you the numerical values once again. We're already bouncing off the first key level that we looked at on Thursday. It's like an if this, then that. Yesterday, I didn't go live. I was like, yeah, it's just the same thing. Still watching the same key level. Sure enough, here we are. But level number 1 is going to be sitting down here. Call it about 63 down to about 62,245 to the point of control. If we lose the value area high and cannot break out, guys, this is an indication that we are going to start our journey down to that POC. We have local levels, which I covered in the beginning of the stream. I'm not going to cover it again because I would say this is the big level. Lose value area high. POC is the next expected target. If we get a setup at the local levels, I might take the trade. But in general, lose the high. POC is the next likely place for price to go. This is absolutely key support. And then underneath that, if we cannot hold the POC, I think we will finally get the drop down to the $60,000 value area low, golden pocket confluence sitting right here, the same exact level that we've been talking about time and time again on these live streams. It's the golden pocket value area low confluence. Let me just pull that golden pocket real quick. Come on. Low. Too high. Sits between about 173 all the way down to about 60,600. You also have some support down here. 60K even would be a psychological level, but this would be the general zone I would be looking to gravitate to. And then once we push in here, we can gauge the reactions, etc. So those are the two big levels to the downside. And then, of course, the bigger level to the upside is going to be the $68,000 high into about $68,000. Those are the areas that I'm interested in. Whoops. 68K down to the high at about 67. What is it? 67,224. So using the volume profile, to gauge the potential bigger correction to the POC and value area low. And if we're going to put in the higher lows, you would hope that that POC holds. If not, we're going down to this macro level. If we get the push up, I'll be watching 67,224 up to 68K for the next trades. And in the premium, if we see the confirmations, we'll take them just like we took this one. Zone 1 for the short, zone 1 for the long, zone 2 for the long. Very, very simple. Other than that, we're chopping around. I'm going to hold my trades, unfortunately. My short was closed out by AFX on that exploit. Otherwise, I'd be holding the short from the top. But there we go, guys. That is all the time we got for today's live stream. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us here on the Frankie Candles YouTube channel on this beautiful Thursday. Shout out to Jesse for clarifying that I was right about the day of the week. But thank you for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. Shout out to Presh. Shout out to Jesse. Shout out to Brillo. Shout out to Hawk Crypto Tech. Thank you for being here, bro. Good to see you. Andre Visuals. French Toaster, Al Jr. Didn't even see you in there, bro. Welcome. Indian Martini. And last but not least, Ash, Fabio, and Darkside. Thank you guys for being here. I will see you tomorrow right here, same place, around the same time. And, yeah, trade safe out there. Mark those key levels off on your chart. And don't forget, tell your dog I said hi. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.